The book is as haunting as it is beautiful. It's called Coming Back, New Orleans Resurgent. They are photographs by Mario Tama, who was actually assigned to cover Katrina for your job. That's what you do. But you forged, Mario, a special bond with the people here. Tell me how.
Well, as a photojournalist, I've been to a lot of dire circumstances in a lot of countries, but to witness my own citizens of my own country abandoned by my own government was perhaps the most shocking thing I've ever seen. But even more inspiring was, after the storm, to witness these people who had lost everything, to pick themselves up by their bootstraps, the spirit, the determination, the resilience to come back and rebuild, a lot of times without any governmental assistance, was just incredibly inspiring to me.
Why'd you decide to do this book?
I tell you, I met so many people who all wanted their stories to be told, and I took all of their photographs. And in the end, I felt like the best way to get all their stories out there was to compile it in one book, because this is such a large storm. It affected an area the size of Great Britain. And there's no way that you can tell the story in just 3 or 4 photographs. You really got to compile it all as a narrative over 5 years.
Let's talk about a couple of pictures. Let's go into the book and take a look at these people in a paddle boat. Tell me about these people.
Well, first of all, just getting to that scene was very challenging. I was in another boat paddling through the 9th Ward, and as we headed down to that area where that photograph is, we became stuck on something, almost tipping over. And we looked down, and we were stuck on top of someone's roof. And that's when the immensity of the disaster really struck me. And we freed ourselves off the roof. We made it down to where that photograph was taken. And as you can see, those guys are paddling with makeshift boards as oars. They had ridden out the storm on the bridge behind them, and they were just searching for food and water. This was 2 or 3 days after the storm.
Let's take a look at what you've called Girl in a Blue Dress.
This was the moment when I realized that New Orleans was coming back. It was about 9 months after the storm, and I was searching for signs of resurgence. And I heard about a second line parade, which is a local tradition. And I went to this street, a formerly flooded street, and it looked like it was almost abandoned. But all of a sudden, in the distance, I heard this beat and this rhythm, and all of a sudden this band came pounding down the street, and people were dancing and singing and joyous and flying through the air. It was like a street ballet, a moving street party coming right through the disaster. And it swept me up almost off my feet, and I just flowed along with them and was photographing them, and I just knew at that point the spirit of New Orleans was going to overcome.
We have just a couple of seconds left. Let's talk about Rita and Hazard.
They've been an incredible inspiration. They're a people of faith. They rode out the storm here. Hazard put Rita up in a hammock to save her from the floodwaters. Basically, they've never left, and I met them 2 years later, and they still had no electricity and no gas. Didn't bother them. They just said faith, and their faith in the Lord would overcome and would carry them through.
In one word, are you a changed man?
Absolutely, because of the people in New Orleans. They've changed me for the better.
Mario, thank you so much. The book, again, stunning. Coming Back, New Orleans Resurgent, photographs by Mario Tama. Thank you so much for being here. Very much appreciated. And this is part of the permanent record, the history of New Orleans and its resurgence. Be well.